Needless to say, things are pretty fucking crazy for Bitcoin right now, and if we actually just zoom out a little bit and take a look at what's actually happened on this chart, we are still in our kind of upward sloping parallel channel. We're kind of just falling out of it right now. We've kind of wicked out of it, and this is what everyone's concerned about, right? Like, if we zoom into this on the 1 hour time frame, we can see quite clearly that basically all that we had here with this price action is a quick hunt up here. Anybody that was short would have hopefully, according to what these guys wanted to achieve, would have hopefully, been stopped out. And then we're doing the same thing on the other side. Anyone that was long, anyone that opened a long position up here or before, they would get stopped out on this move. And this wick is important. The reason that this wick is important is if we just zoom out and take a look at where this wick takes place, it does actually happen outside of our key range. So I've been defining this range for you guys for a long time. We're still in it, all right? We are still in it, and this is really important because people are, again, just kind of forgetting just straight up facts, just facts people are forgetting right now. If we look at the 4Flies dashboard and kind of see what's going on right here, let's zoom in. This is way too small. And take a look at what's going on right here. We do have a ridiculously bullish long and short ratio right now. And guys, I mean, this is stupid. This is just bad. Seeing the long and short ratio be this heavily skewed to the upside. Top traders have scaled back their long positions a little bit, and Bybit remains completely neutral, but Binance Retail are fucking bullish, all right? They have got a jetpack strapped to their back, and that's one of the things I was warning you guys could turn into a problem for these markets, and clearly it has. But at the very same time, our fear and greed index has crashed down. We were in the low 60s, mid 60s. Take a look at this. Readings of 64, very, very common, only as recently as last week. And now we have managed to fall down to 51, 52. So granted, we're still quite bullish overall. We're in neutral territory with the fear and greed index and extremely bullish with the long and short ratios. So we're still kind of a little bit, maybe too heavily skewed to the upside. But, and this is a big but, what we do have right now is a situation where we haven't broken any ranges, all right? And a lot of people are starting to make some really big conclusions about where Bitcoin might go without first considering that nothing has changed, right? Nothing has actually changed. Now, here's what I don't like. I don't like the fact that Bitcoin is back below our center line right here. That's not a good sign. That shows us that we don't have the strength that we had up here. It also shows us that all of our rejections have meant that we needed to come back down for a test here. But that's kind of where the bad news ends. We got a test here, and that's good news. For our highs, this level used to be our high. We've been breaking this many times now. It's no big deal. This level we haven't been able to return back up to, but it's very clear that Bitcoin is trying to punch the highs quite a bit. If you actually look at the parallel channel, which represents all of this price action a lot more fairly, you guys can see that basically since the second half of April up to around now, we've been testing the highs here a lot more than we've been testing the lows, right? We did test the lows over here, and then we came back down one more time. But this is only the third time on a more like macro scale, so to speak, that we've fallen down here, whereas we've got 4 tests at our resistance. So, it's just not looking as bad as I think other people want it to look. It certainly doesn't look amazing, don't get me wrong, and I'll show you why in just a minute. But we are still range bound. And when we're range bound, I don't like to make particularly big decisions about, big conclusions about like little micro bits of price action. I'll get back to this in a second because this crazy wick is important. Real quick, S&P 500 continuing to hold its ground. I like it. It's a good sign. We are in a new trading week, so we've been consolidating here for a while now. From the point that the S&P 500 got here to the current date, it has been 40 days. So this is a long period of consolidation for the S&P 500, but it still remains in its same bullish position. So whether or not this takes 40 days or 400 days, if it stays in this price range, broadly speaking, it's going to be in a bullish consolidation pattern as far as I'm concerned. So that's still a good sign. Gold still moving up. Look at this, all-time high up here, retest, old resistance, new support, bouncing up, still looking strong. Absolutely phenomenal. The dollar has not moved. The dollar has not moved. So again, all the same things that I've been constantly outlining to you guys with traditional finance, the things that I've been saying are going in Bitcoin's favor are still in Bitcoin's favor. Everything that we already had still exists. The only thing that's different right now is we had another episode of quite extreme volatility where we tested the highs, tested the lows, got right back in the middle, nothing actually changed, and that's exactly like the price action that we had over here. Now, the last time we got this price action, the long and short ratio evened out. The last time we got this price action, the long and short ratio was roughly the same. We had about 65% instead of 67% of retail positions going long. So very similar ratios. It was roughly 2 long positions for every short with Binance retail traders. And when we got this stupid bit of price action right here, it flushed out the leverage in the market. We saw open interest and so on drop, and then the price kind of stabilized a little bit. So if we're looking at the same thing happening again right now, and the numbers are the same, the price action has been the same, so I have no reason to believe that this is going to be different so far, then tomorrow when we get an update on this data, we should be seeing some slightly more reasonable long and short ratios. Now, I went ahead and looked at the Binance website for this stuff, and if we take a look at, top trader, we don't need to focus on this, just long short ratio for retail traders. If we look at it at all sorts of time frames, one thing that's very clear, and this only goes back like a day, is that the long and short ratio has been high for a while. It did dip down to 63% longs, but we're right back up to 66 now. And on any time frame, no matter what you look at, what's pretty clear is that this market has gotten a little bit more bullish over time. We were a little bit closer to neutral just a few days ago, like 5 days ago or so, but now we are pretty bullish. So I'll be waiting to see this data update, and if we do see it come down to some more reasonable levels, that would be a good sign. So far, we do not have an indication that that is happening. So far, the long and short ratio is staying exactly where it is, even though the volatility is over. So that might not happen. We might not see the long and short ratio even out. And if we don't, that would be trouble. That would be trouble because retail traders are generally losers and they are heavily long right now on all time frames, which means that while we're sitting down at the very bottom of our support range, if this thing needs to drop a little bit lower, we might have to revisit some potentially uncomfortable price targets. Now, the good news about that, and pretty much everything else on this channel that I talked to you about, is that these are tradable moves. The altcoin market has already been moving. I've been talking to you guys a lot about 𝗙𝗢𝗥 on the 𝗬𝗢𝗥𝗙𝗟 Daily channel. I was talking to you about how I expected to find resistance here and then drop lower, and that is exactly what happened. So, those of you that have been subscribed to the 𝗬𝗢𝗥𝗙𝗟 Daily channel, shout out to you. All you got to do is open up the description and come up to the top link right here to subscribe to that channel. That's where all of that beautiful analysis is going down. And if you want to trade on BingX without KYC, obviously Bybit has now introduced mandatory KYC for all users effective as of 2 days ago. If you want to use a platform that does not require KYC, check out BingX, and they also have access to indices, stocks, commodities, and forex that you can trade, again, without KYC. So that is really, really cool. If you want another option that's not going to ask you to submit a picture of yourself, to submit a picture of your ID, and so on, BingX is your place to be. So go ahead and check it out. They've got proof of reserves and all that stuff. I'm using them myself as well. Bitflex is another option if you're interested. Very, very popular right now. They're both great options. But back to the markets here. If we do start seeing these kind of drops, it's not going to be something that worries me. Now, here's something, though, that actually excites me a little bit. If we take a look at this website right here, this is actually listing all of the BRC20 tokens. So for those of you that have missed the news, and good on you if you have missed the news because it's irrelevant, what we're looking at right now is another resurgence of people trying to build tokens on the Bitcoin blockchain. And we know that that's like, in the same way that Ethereum is made, for example, we can't do that with Bitcoin right now. Ethereum is a token that you use to build stuff on. Bitcoin has not historically been used for that same way. But if that's what we're going to see now, and if we're going to see tokens have the ability to be built on the Bitcoin blockchain, being BRC20 tokens as opposed to ERC for Ethereum or TRC for Tron, then what we are potentially going to be seeing is a big bull case for Bitcoin. One of the big reasons that coins like Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, Binance Coin, and so on have become big is because they offered things that Bitcoin could not compete with. If Bitcoin is able to compete with this in the future, we're going to see some really, really exciting things. In light of this and just other things around the space, we've seen transactions fees skyrocket. This is the miners You know, you can see the data here. I mean, it's just skyrocketing here. Not the most crazy important thing, but it did have a real effect. Binance actually had to block Bitcoin withdrawals because of the very, very high transaction fees. They actually went ahead and raised overall transaction fees just so that Bitcoin withdrawals could get processed. So for a while, everyone thought Binance was bust and they were going to die because, as usual, you guys are a bunch of fucking 15-year-old girls in the United States high schools with how dramatic you are. But here we are at the end of the day. That's what makes these markets very tradable. So that's completely fine by me. We did see these markets, tumble a little bit in the wake of that, and just there was a moment of uncertainty, but ultimately, if what we are looking at now that all of that dust has settled is that we are basically right at the bottom of the range, I do want to talk to you a little bit about what happens if we break this range. And I've covered this with you extensively on this YouTube channel, but the big idea that I've been going through with you guys right here on this channel is that I'm expecting Bitcoin to fall down to that $25,000 level if we lose this rough area of support that we are at right now. And the reason that I think we're going to fall from here down to here, quite simply, is because if we look at this entire price range, there is no volatility. There is no significant price history that had a chance to develop at any point during Bitcoin's history between 27,000 and 25,000. So this is a big $2,000 gap. It's, I don't know, something less than 10%, but it's still good. Very, very tradable. From our current price down to here, it is a 12% range, so super tradable. 12% is a lot of, is a big gap to make a lot of money, even with a bit of leverage, which is why BingX is quite exciting. And by the way, guys, I do want to highlight that if you use the link to BingX in the description down below, you're actually going to be able to take advantage of potentially over $5,000 in bonuses, which is very, very cool. So this might actually be gone now. I'm not sure why it's still available, but check it out if it is still available. The first 50 people are going to get $500 for free when you deposit $10,000. So the first people, let me say this properly, the first 50 people to deposit $10,000 are going to get $500 for free, which is a really good ratio. You're getting 5% back in just free money that you can trade with, that you can blast back into the market. But again, if you're not interested in that or whatever, you do have a further 5,000 plus in bonuses to get. And again, without KYC, it's a really good option right now for those of you that are interested. My position on Bybit continues to run. I'm still in my long position. I'll talk to you about that in just a second. But yeah, with this drop here, this is a really nice 12% range, 5x leverage, 60% profit down there. It looks pretty good. Obviously, I think that if I was going to trade this, I wouldn't trade the full 12%. I'd probably have to get a much worse entry just to get safety for this trade. But still, with higher leverage numbers, this can still turn into a really nice profit. And on the shorter term, we need to see $28,000 recovered. So if we bring it back to the chart, there's this line right here at kind of 28.6. If I just kind of move this line down to about 28, this is also an important level that we need to see recovered. The point is that now that we've dropped down to the bottom of this range, we've got all these kind of micro, like intraday support resistance levels that we need to overcome. And we've got a little bit from the Ichimoku clouds, like the 4-hour clouds just fucking around doing nothing in particular, but the 1 hour is offering resistance, for example, right now. The really good news, and this is something that I have warned you about, is the daily time frame does have a huge cloud of support for us right now, where we are. And this is, again, something that I've spoken to you guys about for a while. You can't really tell how you're going to get down there, but what you can sometimes see is that things look a little bit heavy. You might need to drop down. And if you do drop down, one of the most reassuring signs that I can imagine is that from where we are now all the way down to the deepest level that I think we could, with a high probability fall down to, even further than that, we have support. So this looks like a phenomenally strong chart from this particular perspective right here. The fact that we've been able to hold this price level for so long has produced a huge bullish support cloud for Bitcoin that stretches 14%, and it is valid right now. We have already bounced right off it. We didn't quite touch it, but we certainly don't need to. That is good enough in my opinion, showing me that if we do spend a little bit more time here, I cannot worry. Even if we drop I cannot worry. We have a phenomenal area of support right here, and we've consolidated for damn near long enough at this stage, ladies and gents. I do think that Bitcoin is ready to break out. 60 days in consolidation, we are getting very close to the level that we had over here, right? 56 days here, 61 days here to get that breakout. We are looking at similar time frames. We've got phenomenal support, guys. We've got traditional finance still at the same levels. Yeah, long and short ratio isn't quite where I want it. Yeah, we're at the bottom of the range. That's not great either. Things ain't perfect here. I'm not trying to beat around the bush and lie about that, right? Things are not perfect with this chart setup right now, but they are much better. They are much better than people are letting on to believe right now, are leading on to believe right now. And that in itself is why I am paying a massive amount of attention to this. So micro resistance levels we do need to overcome, but larger time frames, we're looking at some really, really good places. Now, if this support area at 25K breaks, we need to look at the next areas of support. And for me, it gets a little bit messy. There's a lot of places that you could say Bitcoin might find support, but this is one of the better ones in my opinion. This is the FTX high that we set in November when FTX collapsed. And this is where we found a lot of support, resistance, and so on throughout Bitcoin's price history since the second half of 2022. We've been down in this range for a year now, by the way. Pretty crazy. And so the 21.5K kind of area is going to be the bounce range that I think Bitcoin is most likely to fall down to. I have outlined other ones like, 24K, obviously still in play, but that's kind of the same area as 25. I've said that many times. I don't see 25K or 24K as a different level. I think they're both the same the way I'm seeing it, but that's neither here nor there. I do think that is something that's important to keep in mind. So potentially, a little bit of support down there, that would be absolutely beautiful. And one of the big things to keep in mind is this daily Ichimoku cloud. This is a big deal. If we do see the daily Ichimoku cloud fail, we're going to be in trouble. Generally in Bitcoin's history, when the cloud has failed, very, very bad things have happened on large time frames. So, right now we're very, very far away from this cloud failing. We would need to fall below 23. But if we play out what this chart displays, then yeah, we would be falling out of the clouds. So it would mean that there's good support. And me personally, I still just wouldn't be too worried. I can't be too worried. We've doubled from our low. So if we fall down to 21.5, that's still just a retracement. It's still just a correction, and Bitcoin has very harsh corrections, so it wouldn't be out of Bitcoin's character either. But admittedly, I don't want to see us losing, such a beautiful one-day Ichimoku cloud. So this is going to be something that I'm going to continue to monitor as the situation develops. For now, I do need to get going. If you have enjoyed this video, do me a massive favor and smash up those likes. If you have appreciated this video, you know exactly what to do. Check out BingX for over $5,000 in bonuses, no KYC, and access to indices, commodities, Forex, and I keep forgetting the last one, stocks. And if you do want to watch the 𝗬𝗙𝗙𝗚𝗓 daily channel with some altcoin analysis, this is the place to be. I'm going to be coming at you guys with a 𝗬𝗙𝗙 video right after this one. So a lot has happened with the 𝗬𝗙𝗙 market, pretty much only what I said would happen. So that's always fun to see. The analysis that I've given you guys has been 100% spot on with 𝗬𝗙𝗙 as well. Guys, we don't miss. I actually outlined this to VIP members. I said that maybe we come back up here, find some resistance, and then drop down to the support area. We didn't even have the strength to do that. So this is a position that I was interested in taking. I told VIP members about it. I didn't end up pulling the trigger on it, and that's completely fine. 𝗬𝗙𝗙 is at the same place. All the same, it didn't get there the way I said it would, but it got there at the same time that I said it would. And yeah, so that's looking pretty good. There's a lot going on in this chart, a lot of ways to make money off it. I'll be talking to you about that on the 𝗬𝗙𝗙𝗚𝗓 daily channel. Just watch out for that video in the next few hours. If you have enjoyed this one, you know exactly what to do, and I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.